In September 2015, the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development that includes 17 Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), building on the principle of leaving no one behind. The new agenda emphasizes a holistic approach to achieving sustainable development for all. The 2030 Agenda has reinvigorated national development planning processes as countries work to align their national development priorities with global goals for sustainable development. While achieving the SDGs will require a global effort, individual countries are charged to make concerted efforts to raise and direct financing to where it is most needed for the actualization of the goals in a bid to eradicate poverty, reduce inequalities, and protect the environment from degradation. The Development Agenda was a successor framework to the Millennium Development Goals, which enjoyed the endorsement and commitment of world leaders between 2000 and 2015. As one of the leaders who signed up for the adoption of the Global Agenda, President Muhammadu Buhari repeatedly declared his unflinching commitment to the attainment of the 17 goals and 169 targets, while also providing it with institutional and financial supports. The Global Agenda seeks to end poverty, ensure zero hunger, promote good health and well-being, deliver access to quality education, and ensure gender equality. The agenda also seeks to provide clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, promote industry, innovation and infrastructural development, as well as help reduce inequality. Also contained in the agenda are provision of sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, intensified effort in climate action, preservation of life below water and life on land, promotion of peace, justice, and strong institution, while encouraging strategic partnership in attaining the goals. Since the commencement of the implementation of the SDGs on January 1, 2016, Nigeria and the President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government have been taking concrete steps towards the actualization of the goals. In the thinking of President Buhari, the attainment of the goals is synonymous to giving meaningful development to the citizenry. He believes that when the government is able to deliver on the goals, the whole essence of governance would have been met.
With the adoption of the 2030 Agenda, we set for ourselves the ambitious goal of seeing an economically sustainable, socially inclusive, and environmentally resilient world. For Nigeria and indeed Africa as a whole, the achievement of the SDGs will mean ending poverty and hunger, safeguarding our ecosystem, and ensuring that our people live in peace and prosperity by the year 2030.
In apparent demonstration of our commitment, the Nigerian government established a robust institutional arrangement for the implementation of the goals, while also driving the SDGs with innovations, implementation of pro-poor and pro-development programs, undertaken in the quest to bequeath to the people a desired future in which no one is left behind. The office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs was established with Princess Adejoke Orilokpe Adefulire as the coordinator of the agenda.
I am aware from official statistics that approximately 54% of Nigerians live below the poverty line as defined by World Bank. It is pertinent to state that reducing extreme poverty and hunger is one of the cardinal objectives of our administration. It is for this reason that our government acted quickly in the implementation of the SDGs by establishing the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on the SDGs in January 2016. The office is charged with the responsibility for strategic planning, horizontal and vertical intergovernmental coordination, multi-stakeholders partnership, and resource mobilization. It is also mandated to lead robust advocacy and communication for the SDGs in Nigeria.
A presidential council for the SDGs was inaugurated by the president to provide high-level policy guidance and leadership, as well as direction on the implementation, while two standing committees on the SDGs were established in the Senate and House of Representatives of the Parliament to enhance legislative engagements. The government also set up the Private Sector Advisory Group, the Donors Partnership Forum, and the Civil Society Strategy Group as key partners for the SDGs in a bid to strengthen the national awareness around the goals and build strong commitment towards effective collaborations with all stakeholders.
Unlike during the MDGs, where we lost about 7 to 8 years before we took off. But that was adopted, it can be explained, that was adopted, but we learned some lessons from that, and quickly we started work early as soon as the world leader adopted the SDGs. And immediately we adopted, we found out that the public sector alone cannot, if truly we want to achieve SDG, cannot achieve SDG. So we have to work together with the private sector, and that was why the first agenda of this office is to see how we mobilize the private sector and appointed them that was February 2017.
As part of efforts to prevent the drawbacks found with the implementation of the Millennium Development Goals, the government has been mobilizing hundreds of core members across the country every year as SDGs champion to take the campaign on implementation of SDGs to the grassroots in various parts of the country.
The NYC core champion who are all over the country, they are our champions, our advocates. So we made them our advocates so that wherever they are posted, and if there's any gap, they quickly get to us so that we can quickly intervene. And that's the essence of, and they are very helpful in doing all of that, because we need to be everywhere, and we cannot be here in Abuja to get every needs from every community. So that has been helpful in terms of sensitization, advocacy, and getting people to get to know of SDG.
Also, 13 frontline celebrities have been enlisted as SDGs ambassadors to help communicate the messages of Agenda 2030, generate momentum and citizens' commitment for the achievement of the SDGs in Nigeria, and raise awareness on all the goals with a view to enhancing actions by key players to attaining the SDGs. Beyond these, however, is the recognition by the government that the SDGs cannot be achieved with standalone programs and projects. They must be carefully mainstreamed into the policies, plans, and actual budgets of the national and sub-national government, while also ensuring that actual expenditures are aligned with such plans and budgets. The government integrated the core areas of concern to the SDGs, such as food security, agriculture, inclusive growth, industry, infrastructural development into the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan (ERGP) 2017 to 2020. Work has also commenced on SDGs needs assessment, policy and scenario analysis, as well as tracking and reporting. Indicators have been developed, and the SDGs baseline survey has been finalized to address the lack of accurate and reliable data for planning and tracking performances across the 3 tiers of government. And to further back these thoughts with action, the government in 2017 commenced the process of domesticating and customizing the Integrated Sustainable Development Goals (ISDG) simulation model and was officially launched in 2019 at the sideline of the 74th session of the UN General Assembly in New York. This placed Nigeria elite list of the few countries, if not the first country in the global south, to have developed a homegrown analytical framework for SDGs integration, and it is believed this will go a long way in helping to bridge the policy, planning, and budgeting gap in the quest to achieve the SDGs in Nigeria.
As a government, we have since recognized that to achieve the 2030 agenda and the SDGs, we must scientifically understand our implementation context, carefully formulate policies and programs, and judiciously apply human and financial resources. This cannot be achieved with ad hoc planning. It was our genuine desire for scientific planning and implementation of the SDGs that made Nigeria to commence the process of domestication and customization of the Integrated Sustainable Development Goals model in 2017.
Nigeria is taking a giant leap to ensuring that actual expenditures are aligned with such plans and budgets. Emphases are made on effective interagency and subnational coordination and collaboration, while providing for robust and comprehensive national statistical information system for monitoring progress on the SDGs, with the realignment of the national statistical system and signing of the data bond with the ministries, departments and agencies, as well as the sub-national government. In the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, sustaining financing, strategic policies and impact programs are major requirements. Against this backdrop, the Buhari administration has been reinforcing government and stakeholders' commitment towards financing the SDGs in Nigeria. The government has also developed a 10-year plan for the implementation of the SDGs, while efforts are being intensified to come up with a sustainable financing mechanism tagged Integrated National Financing Framework (INFF) for sustainable development. The move underscores the country's commitment to taking a holistic, data-driven and long-term approach to the development of a financing strategy for the SDGs. It was also in line with recent steps, including the development of an SDG baseline performance indicator database and the domestication of an integrated SDG (ISDG) tool for data analysis and modeling.
The Nigeria SDG model, the report of which we will officially launch today, will serve as a framework for robust, fact-based policy analysis, planning and implementation at all levels of government. It is expected to be used as a planning tool to complement existing ones currently in use at the national, sectorial, and sub-national levels. Going forward, we expect policymakers and planners to judiciously utilize this model to guide our efforts towards the achievement of the SDGs and other internationally agreed development goals.
The Integrated National Financing Framework (INFF) is designed to strengthen the commitment of policymakers, development practitioners, and private investors in the implementation of the SDGs. The agenda of achieving the SDGs by 2030 is broad, complex, and spread beyond the capacity of the government. Hence, the need to mobilize both public and private funds to ensure the actualization of the goals by 2030. The INFF has 4 key building blocks: assessments and diagnostics, financing strategy, monitoring and review, governance and coordination.
The general thinking of not only the SSAP herself, but also the Honorable Minister of Finance, who is the chair of the Integrated National Financing Framework Steering Committee, is to look for innovative financing mechanisms that will support the financing of the SDGs. The idea of moving away from funding the SDGs to financing the SDG is the way to go. The idea is looking for the private capital, impact investment, sukuk bond, diaspora bond, green bond. Now we're talking even about blue bond and SDG standalone bond. So these are the financing mechanisms that we are looking forward to support critical infrastructure that will enable the achievement of the SDGs in Nigeria. So what we're doing with the design and possible implementation of the Integrated National Financing Framework is precisely to achieve this, mapping out the entire financing ecosystem in the country, the public, the private sector, the philanthropy, and all that into one document that will guide, our aspiration in line with the Addis Ababa Action Agenda for Financing Development, to see how best we can support this. And therefore, the future is funding, not finance. Is financing, not funding.
Beyond the very robust institutional arrangement for implementation, Nigeria is driving the SDGs with innovations and strategic interventions. Nigeria has also put in place mechanisms for identifying and targeting the poor with pro-poor and pro-development programs undertaken in the quest to bequeath to the people a desired future in which no one is left behind. Key efforts in this area include massive investments in quality and inclusive education, healthcare and well-being, water and sanitation, as well as empowerments and skills development.
We also provide some schools infrastructures to address prepare for the out-of-school children back in school. We work with them closely and ensure that we support the local government in ensuring that we add more classrooms. In the last 4 years or 5, we have added more than 2,000 number of classrooms to what the local government should do and the state. When we came in, we found out that the infant and maternal mortality are high. With the support of the office and intervention that we have introduced, we have also completed both 149, 120 and 100 bed hospital in about 32 states of the population. So we hope that the remaining states will be, and FCT will be taken this year or next year by the grace of God. Of course, the critical infrastructure, which is primary healthcare center. As we speak now, we have done more than 200 primary healthcare centers to support some states, maybe I think all the 36 states of the Federation, to ensure that at the local, rural community, riverine community gets as a health coverage and they get well treated, and that is the spirit of leaving no one behind.
In the development of a child, education has been described as an important key that can help unlock all the potentials. Education is also central to the attainment of other goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Quality education, as provided for in Goal 4 of the SDGs, is critical to the bid to break from the cycle of poverty, reduce inequalities, achieve gender equality, as well as the other global goals. For Nigeria, one of the key challenges in delivery on the education goal is the problem of out-of-school children, with an estimated number of over 10 million children roaming the streets. The task has been that of taking the children back into the classrooms by ensuring increased enrollment. One of the initiatives of the Buhari administration in this regard is the recent inauguration of the Steering Committee for Alternate School Program. The alternate school program has as its mandate to improve access to education for all Nigerian children in alignment with Sustainable Development Goal SDG 4, which aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education as well as promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The alternate school program therefore hopes to help tip the scales and achieve a balance in this disproportionately lopsided state of affairs by providing an innovative and flexible approach to schooling as well as skills development. By focusing on out-of-school children, the ASP will ensure a reversal of Nigeria's abysmal statistics. Also, working to achieve the same ends, the federal government, through the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, has embarked on rehabilitation and building of new classrooms across the country. Interventions by the SDGs office have resulted in either rehabilitation or construction of over 2,600 classrooms equipped with VIP toilets, external works, educational, instructional materials and furniture, among others across the country.
We have too many people outside the school environment, out of school children. And of course, the need to create an enabling environment for those people that are in school and make provision for those that we want to bring back to school. You recall that the president inaugurated the steering committee on alternate school. The essence of all of these things is to make sure that we get all the children of school age back in school. The intervention is to support the Federal Ministry of Education, support the subnational government Ministry of Education, and ensure that more of our young people that are out of school are back in school. So that is ongoing, and we are monitoring the progress, and we're happy to report that by next year we should make some significant progress. So our intervention in that direction is to ensure that to some extent maintain the existing classroom, build more classrooms, and provide water, solar, and make the school conducive for learning for our children. It's a little contribution to support the subnational government, aside from the conditional grant scheme, which the fund of the federal government that will give to the state government, the 50% to be matched by the state government to provide those infrastructure and to complement what we are able to do as interventions.
A key intervention in this regard was the partnership of the office with a Chinese company, NetDragon Websoft, which led to establishment of digital classrooms designed to equip pupils with ICT skills at Pilot Science Nursery and Primary School. The ICT facilities have enhanced the learning by the children, while teaching process revealed the massive impact. The intervention projects carried out on the school by the OSAP SDGs include the construction of new classrooms and the complete renovation of dilapidated blocks, upgrading the ICT unit class into a smart class while installing solar panels and inverters to constantly supply power to the ICT center, construction of a sports pavilion and playground for the children, and equipping the classes with learning materials. Sharing their experiences, the children explain how the intervention has positively impacted their learning skills. The teachers at the pilot school also narrate the situation before and after the intervention by the OSAP SDGs. Yet, the pilot science school is only one of the numerous schools that have benefited from the massive interventions by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs. Just recently, the office completed the rehabilitation of 4 schools in Ota community of Ogun State that were established over 40 years ago, but had become dilapidated over the years. The comprehensive interventions in the schools, namely St. Michael's African Church Primary School 1 and 2, and the Ansaruddin Practicing School 1 and 2 in Ota, Ogun State, involved construction of over 45 new classrooms, renovation of old ones, construction of staff room and school library, provision of furniture and fans for classrooms and staff rooms, provision of potable water, new toilets, and a sports pavilion. The interventions, which have resulted in a total turnaround of the schools, are confirmed by the heads, teachers, and pupils of the schools, have elicited commendations for the federal government and the OSAP SDGs for bringing life back to the schools. Speaking recently to Agenda 2030, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, Princess Orelope Adefolire, said the interventions were part of the efforts of the Buhari's administration to create an enabling environment and support efforts of the sub-national governments to increase enrollment and bring children who are out of school back to the classrooms.